Are you still in the stance of celebrations? Do you feel that a particular day is worthy of celebrating in your life? Or are you convinced that life and every day, every moment in the life is a celebration? If you're not sure, select some days and celebrate. Celebration is a must. Welcome once again to News Analysis. News Analysis, a weekly magazine on current affairs. To begin with the main points in a nutshell. Libya conflict clashes ahead of surrender deadline. Delhi bomb, Indian group may be behind court attack. 9/11, Clinton says Al-Qaeda behind New York threat. German court upholds Apple design claim. Russian army dogfoot whistleblower Makeyev jailed. Lacoste brand seeking Anders Breivik close ban. And now the news in detail. Libya conflict clashes ahead of surrender deadline. Fierce clashes have broken out in Libya around two remaining strongholds of troops loyal to Colonel Muhammad al-Gaddafi. Heavy rocket fire was reported near Bani Walid and Sirte ahead of Saturday deadline set by anti-Gaddafi forces for loyalists to surrender. NATO also stepped up operations with two missile strikes on Gaddafi targets. Meanwhile, Ali Khana, a senior general in Colonel Gaddafi's force who commanded troops in the south, has fled to Niger, local sources say. Preparing to attack, pro-Gaddafi forces are said to have fired barrages of ground rockets at forces of National Transition Council (NTC) that have surrounded both Bani Walid and Sirte. The BBC's Richard Galpin near Bani Walid says the anti-Gaddafi fighters have reported 3 deaths and 7 injuries in the intensifying fighting there. NTC officials at the checkpoint 30 km outside Bani Walid told Reuters a number of pro-Gaddafi forces had been captured. One NTC commander, Khalid Ahmouda, said an attempt to break out the town overnight had been beaten off. There's no food, no water. A lot of people want to leave, but they have no fuel to power their cars, and Gaddafi forces are preventing people from leaving the city. They fire in the air to terrorize people, he said. NTC troops were seen sending ammunition and ordnance further forward. Commander Abdul Razak Al-Nazuri told Associated Press, "Today marks the last day of the deadline. Our men are preparing for an attack immediately." Delhi bomb, Indian group may be behind court attack. India's Home Minister P. Chidambaram has said it's likely that an attack on the Delhi High Court was carried out by militants based in India itself. "We can no longer point to cross-border terrorism as source of terror attacks in India," Mr. Chidambaram told the reporters. He said the authorities were still trying to verify emails allegedly sent by 2 groups claiming responsibility for Wednesday's attack. The death toll from the blast has now risen to 13, with 76 others wounded. The 2 groups who have purportedly said they carried out the attack are Harkatul Jihad al-Islami, Huji, which has Pakistani origin and is accused of links to Al-Qaeda and the Indian Mujahideen. The email reportedly sent by Huji was traced to a cyber cafe in Indian-administered Kashmir, and police there have detained 5 people. Fairly certain, Mr. Chidambaram said that even though Huji had claimed responsibility for the blast, the group had not been active in India for a while. There have been 3 major attacks in India recently, in Pune, Mumbai, and in Delhi. In respect of the Mumbai and Pune attacks, we are fairly certain they were carried out by Indian modules or Indian-based modules, Mr. Chidambaram said in his first media interview since the court bombing. In the past, India has often blamed Pakistan-based groups for carrying out attacks on Indian soil. That threat remains, but we must also look at Indian modules or India-based modules which are capable of carrying out terror attacks, he said. Mr. Chidambaram said India would now have to focus on improving its counter-terrorism abilities and go after militant groups based in India. He said the country's proximity to Pakistan and Afghanistan was a cause for worry, and India was concerned about how to prevent the radicalization of its youth. The Indian government is under increasing pressure following the latest attack, with concerns that its security and intelligence agencies are still not in a position to handle the growing threat, despite pledges to do so following the attacks on Mumbai in 2008. The government can build capacity and extend the intelligence network, but policing is a very complex task and there will be cases where the terrorist is able to slip through the cracks, Mr. Chidambaram said. Later, he told news conference that those being questioned in Indian-administered Kashmir included the person suspected of sending the Huji email. He described the ideas as promising but not conclusive and added that the likelihood of more attacks was high as India was in a troubled neighborhood. 9/11, Clinton says Al-Qaeda behind New York threat. The U.S. Secretary of State has warned Al-Qaeda is behind a credible threat to Americans in the run-up to the anniversary of 9/11. Hillary Clinton said there had been a specific, credible but unconfirmed report of an attempt to target New York and Washington, D.C. President Barack Obama is to visit New York and Washington on Sunday as the U.S. marks 10 years since Al-Qaeda attacked. Nearly 3,000 people died in New York, Washington, and Pennsylvania in 2001. Al-Qaeda again is seeking to harm Americans and in particular to target New York and Washington, Mrs. Clinton said on Friday. This should not surprise any of us. It's a continuing reminder of stakes in our struggle against violent extremism, no matter who propagates it, no matter where it comes from. No matter who propagates it, no matter where it comes from, no matter who its targets might be. She said the decision to go public with the threat was intended to enlist the millions and millions of New Yorkers and Americans to be eyes and ears of vigilance, adding that the threat was being taken very seriously by state and federal authorities. Counter-terrorism officials were particularly concerned by the threat because documents seized during the raid of Osama bin Laden's Pakistani compound in May showed Al-Qaeda was considering strikes to coincide with the anniversary, Mrs. Clinton said. The former New York senator said Americans should not change their plans but instead be alert. You have to go on with fire, she said, adding this city is resilient.
10 years later, we have made important strides. Our government is better organized. Our defenses are safer than on 9/11. But we still face real threats, as we see today, and there is more work to be done.
German court upholds Apple design claim. A German court has upheld a ban on the sale of Samsung's Galaxy Tab, saying it did infringe Apple designs. It was asked to consider a previous ruling that elements of the tablet were copied from the iPad. That decision led to a Europe-wide ban, which was later lifted amid concerns about the court's power to impose such a broad embargo. The latest hearing went in Apple's favor and means the Galaxy Tab 10.1 is again banned for sale across Germany. Düsseldorf Regional Court Judge Joanna Bruckner-Hoffmann said in the minimalist modern form of the two products gave a clear impression of similarity. In the early stages of the dispute, Apple had won the right for the ban to be imposed continent-wide. However, that was lifted following a challenge by Samsung. Its reimposition, albeit only within one country, marks yet another round in the ongoing patent battle between Apple and Samsung. The two electronics giants currently face each other in courtrooms in Australia, North America, and Asia. Apple has been successful in winning a sales ban of several Samsung phones across Europe following court action in Netherlands. Russian army dogfood whistleblower Makeyev jailed. A Russian army major who alleged his men had been fed dog food has been jailed for 4 years for beating up 2 soldiers in a separate case. Igor Makeyev was immediately arrested and sent to serve his sentence after the trial in the far eastern city of Vladivostok. Makeyev said the case against him had been fabricated after he posted videos of allegedly relabeled dog food. He said it had been substituted for food stolen from his soldiers. The defense lawyer said he would appeal against the verdict of military tribunal. Just 2 days before the verdict, Makeyev, a major in the Russian interior troops, told reporters he was innocent but expected to be unjustly convicted. Russia is plagued by corruption and fears have grown in the past decade that the security forces have become a law unto themselves. Bloggers reacted angrily to Friday's verdict, which was one of the themes most discussed on Russian internet. From dog food to lawlessness, wrote one, while another wrote that it was jail for one who talked about the dog food, not the one who gave it to soldiers to eat. Tinned beef, the major was sent to the reserves immediately after he posted the videos online in May, addressing himself to President Dmitry Medvedev. The beating case in which he was accused of assaulting 2 non-commissioned officers was launched shortly afterwards.